Hey everybody, what's up? It's Monday. So I know I've told you a lot of stories about Navy and a lot of them seem kind of bad. So I want to tell you like a funny story about Navy. Now, depending on how you look at it and your perspective on life, it can be both good or bad depending on your point of view. For me, I consider it one of the funnier but also one of the not so pleasant times in the Navy. So I'm going to explain to you what a blowout is. Now, generally speaking, it's when pressure of something causes the container it's pressurized into to burst, like a pipe or something like that. But in the Navy, a blowout is also a term used to refer to how you can unclog something. So let me paint you a picture here. We had a bathroom. We called it a head. Our head had 9 toilets in it, all in stalls. And one day we go in there and none of the toilets are working and flushing. Now, this hasn't been working all day, but we didn't know because we were working all day. Now, we are the owners of this space, so we are overall responsible. So we look in, we're like, oh, the toilets aren't working. This is great. They're specifically not flushing. So you would think that future people who come in there and see, oh, this toilet doesn't flush, I'm just going to go to another bathroom. But no, not when you're in the Navy. That's not how it works. You just put down a little toilet paper on somebody else's mess, and then you go on top of it. That was it. So we have these toilets with a lot of stuff in them. They're clogged. All of them. All 9 toilets in our head are clogged. And we're like, oh God, okay. So it's not our job to unclog toilets. We're not qualified to do so. Great. Not our job. We get to call somebody else. They're called HTs, or hull technicians. They also handle a lot of the pipe work and stuff like that on the ship. They also actually did a lot of search and rescue type things too, but we're concentrating on them with the toilets right now. So they get there and they look down and they're like, we're going to have to blow out the toilets. And we're like, what's that? And then they go on to explain in detail. So what they do is they follow the main pipe down until all those toilets condense into one big pipe. And they find where the next fitting is. And they attach a fire hose to it and they turn on the fire hose. And what this does is it forces all the water in the toilet, instead of everything going down and through the pipes, and nope, they're forcing all the high pressure at 100 psi to go up and then out of the toilet. It unclogs things, and it does it very effectively. So, seeing no other option, we're like, okay, now this is not a small task. We have to call medical, because medical has to be on standby, because we're now putting human waste up and into this compartment. So we have to seal up the compartment, and we do it. So we're standing outside the room, and all you hear is from 100 psi of fire main coming out of 9 toilets. And me and the 2 or 3 other guys, we're just looking at each other and we're just laughing. We're like, oh God, this is gonna suck. Now, while this is happening, we put on they're not fully hazmat suits. We call them paint suits, and boots, gloves, mask, goggles. Like, we had to have all that on. So the HCs turn it off. Then you can hear sounds of like dripping and stuff from the bathroom. We're like, okay. So we open it up. And the first part of the head is after where the showers and sinks were. That part's fine. The next, so we go through the knee knocker into the next compartment, and that's the toilet area. And there's about, I would say about 4 inches of salt water, fire main water, mixed with human waste, just sloshing back and forth, because we're on a ship that's underway, right? So each time we hit a wave, it's just back and forth in this compartment. Now, I don't know if you know about Navy compartments or not, if you've ever seen a ship, but the compartments are designed to be watertight in case there's a leak or something. So this water doesn't just drain anywhere, it just sloshes back and forth, and we're just looking, like, there's like 5 of our heads like peeking into this room. We're like, oh God, this is gonna suck so much. And we were in a bad mood at the time. Like we found it almost ironically funny, but it sucked. We had to clean it all up, and it took a while. It took a couple hours. Then medical had to come in and certify that the space was clean. And I think the most disheartening part of the entire time was I had a hose. Now, you would think that we just have to scrub the floor, but because everything shot up, the actual overheads were pretty bad and the walls. So we have a hose. So we're like spraying, and they have, we call them light pods because the lights aren't flush against the roof. They're actually hanging down onto like metal poles that keep it down. And that's because they run like piping and stuff against the overhead. So it creates like a ledge for dust and stuff, which kind of sucks because we have dust all the time, but it happens. So I take a hose and I just spray on top of one of these lights. Luckily, they're waterproof. And all of a sudden, a piece of human waste just falls and plops right in front of me, and I'm like, oh god, this is so awful. Well, anyway, the next couple of hours, we cleaned it twice, and medical had to keep coming in and keep saying it was no good because it has to be cleaned to a certain level for it to be considered safe, which at the time was really aggravating, but looking back on it, it's really the best thing to do. I mean, you don't want a disgusting, germ-filled room that people from all over the ship are using because that's how you create a sickness on board the ship. So they were doing their job. We were just aggravated because we were the ones that actually had to clean it. So among all of our cleaning, we finally find the culprit. It was a green t-shirt. At the time, we had blue and white t-shirts. The Marines had green t-shirts. Next door to the bathroom that we shared it with, although we were responsible for the bathroom, we had the Marine Squadron. So we called over their NCO and we said, like, hey, one of your Marines said, no, they didn't. It was like, okay, well, we have the shirt. And they're like, well, that could be anybody's shirt. It's like, no, we don't have green t-shirts. Anyway, though, it sucked. It really did. And now it's one of my go-to stories I tell junior sailors when they're like, oh, I want to go to a ship. And I'm like, a ship is fun. You will see some of the most fun places like Thailand and Korea, Japan. Like, I visit some of the most awesome places. I went to Dubai and Qatar and Bahrain well before I actually started doing it with the job I'm doing now. So it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. However, there are some bad parts to it. And I think when you join the military and you go and do this stuff, you have to understand that comes with certain things. Like, the mission's number one, and that day our mission was to get the ship back fully operational, which means we had to clean the bathroom. Sucked, but we sucked it up. We tried to enjoy it as much as possible. But then, like, just a week later, it became like the constant joke, like an inside joke from everybody in the division, like making jokes about this bathroom. So I guess my point is that if you ever end up joining the military, you're going to hate some of it. But overall, I think it's going to be one of the best things you ever did. And it's better to try to enjoy the suck rather than just hate on it. Anyway, I love you. I'm proud of you. I miss you. And stay awesome.